Alright, so for our database diagrams, we want to use draw.io, which is found in your Google Drive. So open up your Google Drive for Miami and then go to New up here, More. And if you don't have draw.io diagrams, go to this Connect More Apps. You can search it in here, find apps, and then just connect to it. But once it's there, then you can go in, click Diagrams. It should open up a new page. And then just select your blank diagram. You can name it whatever you want. We can say IMS422. Great. Now in this blank page, we're going to lay out our database and how they connect to each other. So we'll lay out all of our tables that we think we'll need and how each one will connect and work together, right? So for that, you can go over to this left side to the entity relation. And you'll see a couple of options here for new rows, some primary keys, things we've gone over in class before, entities, all this good stuff. And then you also see these connectors, which we'll use later on. So first, let's just grab a table with a primary key already inside of it and drag it over here. And we'll just call this the users table. And then for our primary key, we'll call it user ID, right? And once we have the primary key and the table name, it's really coming down to what data do we want to collect. So a user might have, let's say, a first name. He might register a last name. You know, maybe he has number of or style. Maybe that's a type, is a different style. You can add a bunch of these, and I just copy and paste and then drag them in, and when it turns blue, it gives it a nice little pop-in effect there. And then, you know, maybe they have what city they're from, what state they're from, blah 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 blah. So you get the point. You can have many properties on this user, and you know, I want you guys to lay out all the properties or things that you might collect. Like you might want to collect this about a user when they sign up, or they might have a preference in their profile or something like that, right? And then what we want to do is say for each user, they want to be connected to different things, right? So maybe our website, for instance Reddit, might have a bunch of posts, right? And I have a post ID, right? And each post has a name, and it might have total votes, and you know, category that it's in, right? And if the category that it's in, maybe we have a bunch of user submitted categories. So we want to say new table is category, and we have a category ID, right? And the category might have a name. It might have a description, and that might be it, right? So I'm starting to think about what things do I want them to save, right? Well, once I have that down, I now have to connect these things together, right? So, for instance, users might have many posts, right? So I have one user who might post multiple times, right? So that's called a one-to-many relationship. So if we hover over these guys, you can see a bunch of different options here. But if you grab the, where's it at? Our one-to-many. Yes, one-to-many, right? Drag it inside, right? We grab our little guy here, and if you highlight over and it turns blue, it'll just connect it to the table itself, right? So let's go ahead and do that, and then let's go ahead and do that, right? So now I have one user, right? That's the / here to many posts. That's the little sprawl thing over here, right? And what's nice about this diagram thing is as you move them around, they stay connected, which is cool. But then, you know, a post might be tied to an individual category, so maybe that's a one-to-one relationship. So you know, maybe I might have a category ID here, right, that might tie to the category that it's supposed to be in, right? So that would be a one-to-one relationship, right? So if we do one-to-one relationship. Right, so now there's many posts for a user, and now they have one category for one post, right? And essentially this is what you're doing. You're just gonna, make a bunch of your tables, add in the different properties, and lay it all out so we can talk about it on Friday and go through some questions that everyone might have. Cool?